Thanks for joining us on the CBN News Channel. I'm Charlene Israel.
And I'm Ephraim Graham. Landmark legislation restricting abortion in the state of Texas is getting the attention of legislators around the country. The new bill, signed into law Thursday, may serve as a model for other states to follow. Gary Lane has the details about the historic event in Texas.
While supportive legislators watch, Texas Governor Rick Perry signed the abortion bill known as H2 into law. The new law restricts abortions and Texas abortion clinics.
This is a momentous day for the cause of life.
This will literally change the lives of millions in Texas.
That's because the Texas law requires that most abortions be performed within the first 20 weeks of pregnancy.
At 5 months, many studies indicate these children feel the pain of their own deaths. It is our responsibility and duty to give voice to the unborn.
Pro-abortion supporters say the law hurts women. Catherine Miller volunteers with the Lilith Fund for Reproductive Equity, which helps low-income women pay for abortions.
Doing everything they can to destroy any kind of rights that women have for bodily autonomy.
The legislation also requires abortion clinics to follow health regulations for surgical care and mandates that individuals performing abortions have admitting privileges at local hospitals. Only 5 of 42 Texas abortion clinics currently meet those standards.
Clinics who don't comply, they don't shut down. They continue to provide women's health. They just can't provide an abortion.
A group of pro-abortion advocates rallied at the Texas state capitol. They insist the true goal of the Texas governor and Republican legislators is to prevent legal abortions in the state.
My hanger is a wire hanger because that's what we're going to go back to if women do not have access to safe, legal, accessible abortion.
But Governor Perry insists the new law is sensible.
At the end of the day, House Bill 2 makes sure that anyone performing abortions in the state of Texas is doing so in a facility that meets appropriate safety guidelines. That is reasonable. That is common sense.
Moments after the governor signed the Texas bill into law, Planned Parenthood announced it will close 3 Texas clinics. They're in Bryan, Huntsville, and Lufkin. The bill goes into effect in October, but Texas abortion clinics have until September 2014 to meet the new guidelines. Gary Lane, CBN News.
Thanks, Gary. Detroit is now the largest American city to file for bankruptcy. The Motor City is $18 billion in debt. It's a big fall for the automobile capital of the world, which used to be home to 1.8 million people. In its glory years, Detroit was known for producing fast cars and that great Motown sound. Today, the music has stopped. Barely 700,000 people live in the city, and nearly 80,000 buildings sit empty. The homicide rate is at its highest level in 40 years, and residents wait an average of 58 minutes for police to respond to their calls.
Detroit's broke.
Now that we are here, we have to make the best of it.
Nothing changes from the standpoint of the ordinary citizen's perspective.
Detroit's emergency manager is promising city services will remain open and the government will continue to pay its bills and its employees. But there is fear workers could be laid off and assets sold.
It has been 3 years since Obamacare became the law of the land, and the law is losing its luster. As with all complicated legislation, the devil is in the details, and even the government is finding it difficult to implement. Tuesday, President Obama came to the defense of his highly unpopular law.
President Obama was introduced by a Maryland woman who was reimbursed by her insurance company thanks to Obamacare. The law requires insurers to spend at least 80 cents of every dollar on medical care or refund the difference. Because of the new requirement, $500 million in rebates will go to nearly 9 million people. It's something the president is drawing attention to in an effort to boost his law's image.
Affordable health care is not some privilege just for the few. It's a basic right that everybody should be able to enjoy.
His efforts came one day after the House voted for the 38th time to eliminate, cut funding, or scale back the law. Already the mandate that businesses provide coverage for their workers has been put on hold because new regulations made it too difficult for companies to comply.
For example, there is the employer mandate, the requirement that businesses with 50 or more full-time equivalent employees provide health insurance or pay penalties. That was a 3.5-page provision that got turned into a 144-page regulation with 44 definitions.
One study predicts Obamacare will put more than 3 million jobs in jeopardy. Even union bosses who once supported the law are now calling on Congress to fix it. In a letter to Democrat leaders, they write, "The Affordable Care Act would shatter not only our hard-earned health benefits, but destroy the foundation of the 40-hour work week that is the backbone of the American middle class. We have a problem," they write. "You need to fix it."
This is going to be a big lose-lose-lose for a lot of union members, and I think that if there isn't a resolution in Congress, if they don't reopen the law, a lot of them are going to question why they're paying all these dues to leadership that doesn't really represent their interests.
For now, confusion and uncertainty about the law is stifling economic growth.
So there's a lot of heartburn right now and a lot of nervousness about what exactly the increased costs will mean for their bottom line.
President Obama maintains that Americans who like their insurance plan can keep it, but that's not turning out to be the case. According to a study of 11,000 plans on the individual market, less than 2% comply with Obamacare. That means 98% of plans must change, or the people using them must find new plans. And the Congressional Budget Office now estimates Obamacare will result in 7 million Americans being dropped from their employers' health plans and forced into new health exchanges set up by the law.
We're spending a lot of money in helping relatively few people. In many ways, it probably would have been simpler and cheaper just to give everybody money to buy insurance.
President Obama acknowledges implementing this law won't be easy. Creating uniformity among insurance carriers across 50 states is a tall task. But he says he's determined to, quote, blow through the challenge. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
The Office of the Chief Counsel of the IRS has now been implicated in the tax agency scandal. A retiring IRS tax lawyer, Carter Hull, testified before the House Oversight Committee Thursday. He said the IRS counsel was involved in the program targeting applications for tax exemptions by Tea Party groups for special scrutiny. That ties the Tea Party scandal into the IRS officials in Washington.
New York's comptroller wants federal agencies and programs across the country to recognize gay marriages performed in the Empire State, even in states where gay marriage isn't legal. And he's using the power of the state's $160 billion pension fund as leverage. Thomas DiNapoli is urging President Obama to create a, quote, place of celebration standard in the federal government. Under the plan, major companies that do businesses with the state pension fund would be required to adopt anti-discrimination measures when providing benefits for gay couples.
The Boy Scouts have been through their share of controversy this year, a very public process leading to a decision to admit gay Scouts put the group in the spotlight. This week, the Scouts are back to doing what they do best, having a good time while roughing it in the outdoors. Chuck Holton reports from this year's Jamboree in West Virginia.
The Boy Scouts are making history at a brand new 10,000-acre high adventure camp in the mountains of Appalachia. Built with over $100 million in donations, it's called the Summit Bechtel National Scout Reserve. What you see behind me is, for this week, the second largest city in West Virginia. It's over 40,000 Boy Scouts and volunteers who have come together for the 17th Boy Scout Jamboree here in southern West Virginia. This is the first time that the Summit Bechtel Center is being used for a jamboree, and it's historic because they're also including females.
We still have people looking at us like, oh my gosh, there's actually girls here, and they're not wearing tan.
Hundreds of venturers, the co-ed version of the Boy Scouts, are being included for the first time in this year's Jamboree. In addition, there's a large military presence at the event.
Well, the military's always had a close relationship with the Boy Scout Jamboree, so there's approximately over 1,300 active duty and guard personnel.
And the Scouts are determined to make the most of their time here.
I love it. I mean, you meet so many nice people. I mean, just walking from the campsite here and there, we went to go fix schedules, and I met a bunch of people from like Alaska and stuff. It was awesome.
So despite all the controversy surrounding the Boy Scouts over recent months, this week here at the Summit Bechtel Center, the focus is just on fun. From Mount Hope, West Virginia, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Cory Monteith's death from a toxic combination of alcohol and heroin is shedding new light on the power of drug addiction. The 31-year-old Glee star had admitted to struggling with addiction since he was a teen, and he completed a drug rehab program just last April. But doctors say the period after rehab can be the most dangerous for an addict because their bodies can't handle the same doses they could before getting clean. When we asked Dr. Linda Mintle why it is so hard to break drug addiction and how faith in God can make a difference.
Drugs tap into these powerful reward centers in the brain, and then you need more and more and more in order to get that same power of that effect that the drug does to you. And because the drug is so powerful, it gives you such an incredible feeling and a high, you want more and more of that, and it's harder to break that cycle because of the supposedly positive effects that the drug gives. This is not about willpower. You cannot will yourself off of this type of biological pull that is in the brain. So you really need to have something bigger than yourself, and the transcendent power of God, the relationship with Christ, who is in you, who can help you, who can strengthen you to do all things, is absolutely necessary in any addiction treatment.
Now you can see the full interview with Dr. Linda Mintle at cbnnews.com.
The Bible miniseries has been nominated for three Emmy Awards for Best Miniseries or Movie, Best Sound Mixing, and Best Sound Editing. The 10-hour series aired in March on the History Channel, and it had more than 10 million viewers on each of the 5 Sundays it aired. Actress Roma Downey and her husband Mark Burnett have agreed to produce a sequel. It will be called A.D. Beyond the Bible. It will trace the beginnings of Christianity after Jesus' death and resurrection. The couple is also preparing a 3-hour movie version of the Bible. It will focus on Jesus and be called Son of God.
Coming up, for decades, Habitat for Humanity has been building homes for the homeless. Now it's working to protect the environment as well as the poor.
From CBN.
Broken Eardrum is playing at the Civic tonight.
And you'll just have to miss it.
This is so incredibly unfair.
A special story of love and sacrifice.
Joy, Mom comes up with something.
Christopher Quantum, you and I are going to discuss your attitude right this minute. Superbook.
No.
Join the Superbook DVD Club and get Superbook's newest episode, He is Risen. Plus 2 copies to share with others. All for your gift of $25.
They have arrested Jesus, the Messiah. Do you not know that I have the power to crucify you?
No! Please! You can't! They've taken him to Golgotha. We must hurry. Mary is about to lose her son. The worst thing any mother could face. I am not leaving her.
Superbook. It's an amazing way to build a strong spiritual foundation in the children you love.
Mary, who are you looking for?
I've seen him! He is alive!
Superbook. He is Risen. Available now.
The housing sector has been strengthening in recent months, but in June, housing starts dropped by almost 100,000 since May. That is the lowest number since August 2012. However, applications to build single-family homes rose for the 3rd straight month, the highest since May 2008.
Nearly 2 million people have a place to call home because of Habitat for Humanity's mission of affordable housing. And as Heather Sells reports, Habitat recently found a new way to help homeowners save money.
Last year, Habitat for Humanity built close to 5,000 houses, making it the country's 6th largest residential builder. Habitat makes these homes very affordable thanks to volunteer hours, contributions, and interest-free mortgages. And now Habitat homes are gaining a new reputation. They're going green.
Behind that brick foundation, there's actually a 2-inch foam insulation area.
Ralph Knaus took CBN News on a tour of this new generation of homes in Nashville. Part of the green is what you can't see, extra insulation in the walls and under the slab. It's also integrated into the appliances.
We have an Energy Star rated refrigerator, Energy Star rated dishwasher.
The plumbing fixtures are green as well.
They're all low flow rated fixtures, meaning that they let less water through causing the openings to be smaller. You still get pressure, adequate pressure.
Even the ceiling is energy efficient, thanks to insulation that's blown in.
Heat rises, so in the wintertime, all your heat loss is going to go up through the ceiling. That stops it from doing that.
Habitat is hoping that more of its affiliates across the country will get on board with building energy-efficient homes. It's not only a good move for the planet, it's a big financial win for homeowners.
My electric bill, the cheapest one was $350 every month because there was no insulation. The windows were, it was one pane.
Habitat homeowner Casey Greer says energy efficiency is saving her a bundle. In her old rental, she used to spend $300 to $400 a month on electricity. Now she spends less than $100.
When I first got, I was like, surely this isn't right. like I literally was like, my electric bill's $56, really?
For Greer and her two girls, the additional savings means stability and security. She lost her job shortly after the family moved in, but Greer made it through her job search thanks to personal savings and her manageable bills. Knauss says going green costs several thousand extra per home, and it adds a few extra hoops to jump through.
It takes a little more time, and you certainly have, it's a lot more meticulous building process.
But it's worth it, he says, to see homeowners settle in homes that are more affordable than ever, and knowing that they and the next generation will benefit. Reporting in Nashville, Heather Sells, CBN News.
Up next, they may be overlooked and forgotten by their country, but Christians are working to make a brighter world for these orphans. Well, hope is stirring among many Egyptians with the political changes taking place there. However, some aren't happy about the ouster of President Mohamed Morsi, and freedom isn't a certainty there.
In the midst of it all, an often overlooked population in great need, Gary Lane reports on how one group of outcasts is surviving with help from American and Egyptian Christians.
The situation, of course, is getting worse. There's a lot of insecurities, instability that's happening in Egypt. It's the weakest and the most vulnerable that suffer the most.
25% of all Egyptians live at or below the poverty level, earning less than $2 per day. Many of them are widows. An estimated 1.7 million Egyptian children are orphans. Nermeen Riyad is the founder of Coptic Orphans, a Washington-based group that reaches out to Egyptian widows and their children.
Once a father passes away, you have nothing. The first step, of course, the children are pulled out of school. You can't afford to send them to school. They become then the child labor, they become the child brides, they become those that are abused, and they grow to perpetuate this poverty.
The widows and orphans are treated as social outcasts. Unlike Americans, Egyptians have no unemployment or Social Security. 31-year-old Naima Wahib's husband, George, died from stomach cancer 4 years ago. She and her two children have struggled ever since. They live in a small one-room apartment near the city of Luxor. Saneh, a Christian volunteer, regularly visits Naima and her children.
If Christian children here in Upper Egypt are to have a brighter future, they need an education. 11-year-old Antonio here could barely read late last year, but after 15 sessions with a volunteer from Coptic Orphans, he now can read Bible stories. Go ahead, Antonio.
We started out with just sending money to the children. Then we realized, wait a minute, to really help them, to get them on their feet, we need to focus on education.
A Christian tutor helped 16-year-old Kyrillos get better grades in school. Last year, the school ranked him number 2 in his freshman class. His father, a tailor, died at the age of 38. Today, his sewing machine sits idle in this bedroom. Kyrillos' mother learned skills of her own, but had no money to get started. Caring Christians provided her with the seed money to operate a small hair salon in her home.
Before, I had no social life. I was afraid to go out in public. I didn't have much self-esteem. I talk to people now. I'm a totally different person. I thank God this salon is providing food and clothing, everything we need. At the end of the day, it's the Lord who is providing for us.
15-year-old Ayman was only 3 years old when his father died from intestinal bleeding. American Christians donated money to pay his school fees so he could remain in school. They also paid for his mother Faiza's heart surgery. She now does some small sewing jobs to help provide for her family. They live in several rooms of this house. but the landlord wants them to leave. Ayman takes volunteer Sana on a tour of the house that Coptic Orphans is building for his family.
Their help has made a big difference. The children would not have been able to continue with school. They are now doing well in their classes. I'm so thankful and grateful to God for the help they've given us.
Ayman, Kyrillos, Antonio, and their siblings now have a brighter future because of the help of caring American and Egyptian Christians. Unfortunately, the rise of the Islamists may cause greater persecution against non-Muslims. That may lead to more widows and orphans in the days ahead. Riyadh says many Christians are ready for the next wave of persecution.
Many of the Christians have told me, I'm willing to die for Christ. Literally, and they will be put in such a situation. We want to be more and more ready to prepare and to support and to make the Christians in Egypt stronger and stronger. Actually, Christ gives us an offer to work beside him. And to me, that I think it's the greatest honor.
Gary Lane, CBN News, Luxor, Egypt.
Co-laborers with Christ working.
Indeed, one of the greatest calls, take care of the widows and the orphans.
That's right, that's true religion.
Indeed. Stay with us, but coming right back. Finally today, the eternal quest for perfect skin has led to all sorts of interesting treatments and inventions.
But the latest fountain of youth may be the most interesting yet. Dermatologists in Tokyo have developed a unique treatment to rejuvenate your skin, a snail facial. 3 garden snails crawling across your face, leaving a trail of slime. The slime reportedly contains proteins and antioxidants that help moisturize and remove dead skin.
The mucus of the snails is similar to the hyaluronic acid. So some people may feel this skin is getting softer.
Yucky. Well, these are not your typical garden snails. They're raised on organic vegetables, kept in air-conditioned rooms, and they only work a few minutes a day. The treatment lasts 5 minutes and costs $250. And while this is the latest beauty craze in Japan, there are no scientific studies yet that prove the snail facial actually even works.
All right, snail
I just cannot.
facial.
I can't even fathom.
Ouch.
I can't fathom.
I don't even want to think about it.
It was grossing me out just looking at that.
I think I'll just age gracefully.
Thank you. Definitely.
Indeed.
Definitely.
Indeed.
Well, that's going to do it for now on the CBN News Channel. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com.
And take the time to tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do it on Facebook or on Twitter at CBN News. Have a great day, everybody. That's it.